Philly, City Hall, long before you could skate in Dilworth Park or before the construction of CJC. You went to court here if you caught a case. 30 years later, investigations into Philadelphia's District Attorney office would prove that no one who went through major crimes and had their cases prosecuted received a fair trial. The study would find that across a period of 45 years under different elected district attorneys and by different trial and post-conviction prosecutors in both state and in federal courts, that the Philly District Attorney office had a pattern of misconduct. Nowhere was this misconduct on display like the trial and conviction of James Anderson. James Jaymo Anderson was locked up almost 34 years. James learned how he was framed by federal, state, and local officials through information that was previously unknown to him. He obtained this information from a co-defendant who got it from his federal investigative files and from homicide files, the H files. The materials describe a collaborative effort by federal, state, and local officials to cover up bribes and promises given to their key witnesses. Even a plethora of heinous crimes committed by their own main witness in exchange for fabricated testimony against James in his 1993 capital murder trial. Simply put, receipts show Rodney Fraud Carson was paid $250,000 to testify. While in custody, Carson was allowed to get a hotel room with his girlfriend. Let me repeat that. While in custody, he was transported by law enforcement to a hotel room where he could get time with his girlfriend. In addition, Carson was also the suspect in more than one homicide case. All of this information was kept from defense attorneys. It was also kept from jurors on the case and from the public. In April 1991, James was arrested and charged with murder. In July 1991, while at Holmesburg County Prison, when he received a strange letter from a guy named Christopher Anderson, no relation, dated July 9th, 1991. Christopher, who was positively identified by an eyewitness as the murderer, wrote that the DA, ADA Joel Rosen, and Detective Walter Hoffner wanted to put him on a case with James and a couple of other people. James was confused by the letter, as he had only seen Chris maybe once or twice in the neighborhood and did not actually know him. That is, until James was placed in a seat next to Christopher at a preliminary hearing nearly 2 years later. It was revealed to James that the couple other people referred to in Christopher's letter was Aaron Jones and Samuel Brown. This method of operation practiced by the district attorney's office would be documented and exposed during the Sex for Lies scandal that is still going on.
The harder we dug and the deeper we dug, the better the case got. And we found out this case was part of an ongoing scandal in Philadelphia called the Sex for Lies scandal, where there was a lot of bad detectives out there that would coerce witnesses to lie in exchange for sexual favors. Under
the direction of Roger King, ADA Joe Rosen prosecuted this case on an uneven playing field. And in yet another move that continues to sway the court of public opinion, the Philadelphia District Attorney deployed one of their most frequently used weapons, the press. Many of the myths and lies that were propagated against James and his friends are nothing but repeated manufactured stories planted by the government and law enforcement to win trials. Don't take my word for it. Listen to the footage from this deposition.
I believe there were discussions with the FBI, yes, about how to exert some public pressure on people who were not cooperating, yes.
Were they also thinking that they might use the media to apply pressure so that there might be a possibility that might confess involvement in the crime?
That may have been some motivation.
Do you believe from your recollections that was discussed?
I wouldn't disagree with it.
They took these little bits of information, twisted them around, and then gave it to these few media reporters who said, hey, I'll go with it. I'll go with it on one source.
In Philadelphia, Kitty Caparella was used as a plant. Oftentimes, before jury selection or court procedures were set to begin, the city would see sensationalized stories in the newspaper, often linking matters that have nothing to do with each other, all authored by Kitty Caparella. This newspaper article from 1993 shows that JBM stood for just blowing money. However, prosecutors chose to go with the more flashier Junior Black Mafia as a stepping stone or a springboard to further their career. As defense attorney Edward Slugan said in open court more than 30 years ago, the name came from the Daily News. Prosecutors say Junior Black Mafia because it looks better on their resume. The supposedly blind system of justice withheld from jurors and defense attorneys that the star state witness received time with his girlfriend and $250,000 for his testimony. Even more explosive is at the time of his arrest, Rodney Fraud Carson was a suspect on multiple murder cases. Federal, state, and local agents turned a blind eye to this in exchange for his testimony. In a fair trial, jurors are made known of these type of facts. Since 1993, Joel Rosen was fired from Philadelphia's District Attorney's office. Roger King has passed away. Textbooks by the University of New York and the University of Pennsylvania teach courses on the prosecutorial misconduct that took place in Philadelphia over the course of 40 years. The question remains, why is anyone who was prosecuted under this regime not immediately granted a new trial?